Alright, here we go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu sallam baraka ala nabina Muhammad wa man taba huda ila qiyam as-sah wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All you brothers and sisters out there. As-sami'ina khairah. The good listeners. Inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala. The critics. And sometimes we forget the haters and hatettes. The spies, people who watch just to find mistakes and to spread and talk and make commotions. We say to you, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, because we need the salam from Allah, the dua to Allah, His blessed greeting to descend upon us. We need His protection, as all of this is the meaning of as-salam. And we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rahmah, His mercy in this life and hereafter. This is one of the main reasons we should make dua for one another. Even for the hardliner, when we talk about bid'ah, and they talk about the issue of the mercy for the people of bid'ah, those hardline shuyukh scholars, ulama of the past, with their positions, be it right or wrong, this is one of the mercies for the people of bid'ah, and that you make dua that Allah Azza wa Jal guide them back to the path. Naam. Rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life. And when you die, that's one of the meanings and the reasons behind Salat al-Janaiz, that you need the mercy of Allah, the deceased. Also, wa barakatuhu, barakatan min Allah, baraka alaykum. May Allah give much gifts, blessings, favors, things, miracles, special protection and gifts to you all. This was the night where I was supposed to continue talking about the legacy, the lessons, and the benefits from our brother Abi Abdurrahman Abdullah Jeffrey McPhee, who we said was many of our teachers, friends, some our neighbors, some may be married to the family that he was married into, like Abu Khalil, known as Big Hassan from Asbury Park. Him and Sheikh Abdullah, they were married to sisters from Djibouti. So people may be married into the family or related like this, bloodline otherwise. But we're not going to take that tonight. As you see the topic, we're going to talk about, as the scholars of Islam past and present, also people that are scholars politically, scholars, analysts, outside the box of Islam. They talk about current affairs and things that are, as they say, fi munasibah, that which is the topic of current affairs. So we're in the last, believe it or not, weekend, 2 days before the end of this month, and everybody knows this is Black History Month, something that's known worldwide. And we want to talk a little bit about this because it's important. Just as I was having conversation with one of our brothers in Islam, elders, and he's very versed about history today, we mentioned a lot of good points. And also we find the ongoing beef and fighting back and forth about should we be talking about this as people who are Muslims, moreover people that claim Sunnah. We could take it a step further, those who like to use the term Salafiyah. Allah musta'an, and we get blamed all the time whenever there's something that has a shade of color. So we want to talk about this in light of the Black History Month, but the virtue of colored people, the virtue of black people, brown people, red people. You know, why Allah Azza wa Jal talked about sibagah in his Quran, the color. Why the Prophet mentioned the issue, no one is more virtuous, the black over the white, neither the white over the black, the Arab over the non-Arab, like this. Why did he mention that months before he died? One of the most times of importance for this ummah, out of all of the things he could have mentioned, that's one of the things he emphasized, the color issue, the color line. Why did Allah wa ta'ala deal with this issue in the Quran and say, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, made it an issue of taqwa and not color? Why did this topic come up in the first place? Why were these ayats revealed? Why did the Prophet, when he talked about Isa ibn Maryam, described him, he said, Kana rajulun Adami, and some scholars said Adami here means color, blackness. Although you have the narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar, and one of them said Adam was mentioned as Adami meant black, and the other one said red. The issue is still color. Color, hakada. Rosella mentioned dreads. White people don't normally get dreads. You can grow them, you can do something to get them, but normally people with hair from color have in their heads dread up. So they had beautiful long dreads. The Prophet mentioned this in the Hadith and the Sahih of Imam Muslim and others. So why was this the case? When we talk about Musa alayhi salatu wasalam being from the people of color, you talk about Mada Barakallahu Fikum Ibrahima, although he was from the people of Philistine, look at the Philistine people. They're people of color for the most part. And they have been mixed, and we know this, and that their people have some color to them. You look at him marrying Ismael's mother and how they talked about her. Some of them even made her like a girlfriend or a concubine, you know what I'm saying, rather than his wife. Look at the, what we would say inferiority complex, what are they afraid of? You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Look at the issue of the early Arabs, how Ismail married into them, the Jurham people, the people of Qattan, and the people of Adnan, and how they were the Arabs. You check the history, they were dark. We talked about this issue before, and all of the prophets and messengers, they said, yeah, qawmi, oh my people, yeah, qawmi, oh my people, yeah, qawmi, oh my people. And if you notice that address in the Quran, in the Bible, when you look in the New Old Testament, anytime people use that, anytime it's reported, anytime it's mentioned in the biblical sense or in the religious sense, the Quranic sense, they're always talking to their people as it relates to those people who are going against the grain. They were not saying, yeah, told me to those people that accepted the message and were in line with what Allah had sent. They were always talking to people who were the rejectors. Nah, they were always talking about the people that were rejectors. So why were they saying, yeah, told me, oh my people, but those people were rejectors? If the rule of thumb is that the believers, they are our people and the non-believers are not. As this is a basic argument with some of the brothers, hardliners. نحن على دعوة, on the da'wah. وأنتم على زيغ والضلال, and you guys have deviated, you're astray. Our people, the Muslims. And we know in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal used different terminology talking about this subject. When he talked about Nuh alayhi salam, in who laysa min ahl. Naam, he's not from your ahl. But ahl has different meanings as well. Sometimes ahl means blood relation. Sometimes it means those who their blood is the same, but their religion is different. Sometimes it means companion. Sometimes it means through marital relations. Sometimes it has various meanings. The word ahad, alif, lam, ha, ahad. Yani ahad, ahad, and a lam, ahad, ahlu, ahad. And so this is a very relative topic. We cannot talk about this enough because unfortunately we were duped, we were tricked, we were derailed. I'm going to say, from what I know, what I understand, my studies, my experience, that may not be worth a dead roach in a empty soup can to some people. But however, we want to say everybody's welcome to their opinion. Then we're talking opinion, but we're also talking experience. And this issue, when you talk about being duped, we were told from the standpoint of receiving Islam from a, I have to say, not orthodox background. Because when I accepted Islam in 89, that was not an issue. Your color, who you belong to, if you can be, as the old song used to say, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. That song. And they were saying this because of the same reason that we're talking about the virtues now. They were saying that back in the late 50s and 60s for the same reason that many of the Afro-Mexican, or the people that came out of the, as we say, Latino community, that were Afro, they wrote books and they went to show that there were many um, people from their background that were people that were influential, that they became great people. They made great contributions because they were told that no, there's no people from your people that did anything. The same way that, people that were not Afro-Mexican, they were Afro-American, they did the same thing. Had to go and research and show these facts. The same reason Ibn Jawzi wrote the book about the fadal of Ahl Asud, the black people. Not to show that we're better than people that don't have color and they're, nothing and we are the best, but to show we have virtue because somebody wanted to put us down. Historically, going all the way back to the whole issue of those people from the Levites and the Hamites and those people from Ham, a curse, and so forth. So you see, this issue is a very old issue. And no doubt, when you talk about this issue, again, as an Orthodox Muslim, it was not the issue. It was very well received and expressed who you were, although you were a Muslim, as an Orthodox Muslim. But when we became people that lend the ear to the concept of the Salafy Dawah, then that changed. We were in Bradford Place, 1989 and 90, and we used to be at Beit al-Khaliq on Chancellor Avenue when Imam Hisham Jabba was alive, and that was one of the places he used to teach at. It was one of his early students there, and they were teaching, coming from Elizabeth, and they would teach there at Beit al-Khalid, Chancellor Avenue, over there in the Lyons Avenue, that area, they call it, I think, close to the Weekway section of Newark. It was very well expressed who you are. And there was no blame that you were a person of black, or if you wore African medallion or African hat, but you're a Muslim. You still prayed your five, you, as they say, bumped your knot. You still fast, but you wore clothes. You didn't necessarily have to wear a thobe. And I remember people used to wear the African dashiki. I had a few of them I used to rock. Remember that? Homemade kufis that you would pay the sisters to make your clothes. Have a, like the paisley ties with the design, where I had a paisley kufi with the paisley thobe with the pocket. Real fresh in the land, SubhanAllah. I remember I had the gold clip-on teeth. I just come from the Loop, 1988, 89. So I was on the East Coast doing my thing. But it was emphasized who you were was important. No blame on you. Hakada. And the whole idea of going outside of your culture to get an Arab, or marrying somebody from a foreign country was It wasn't heard of. We understood that we had some of the best women on earth, despite what we've been through, and the when you talk about what some may say, damage control, we all have that, the male and the female alike, no doubt, from this system and this environment. But we believed and we loved our black women, and we didn't believe in they're a piece of trash and they're not submissive and they don't have our back, and they're just a piece of, they say, a piece of ass. No, we looked at them with respect, because we had to look at our mothers with respect. We had to, understand the struggle that our mothers provided, you know, for us and protected us and raised us. If the father was there or father wasn't there, or stepfather, we understood the one who carried that weight, the one who drove that shit, was the mother. So that's how we understood black women. It was only when we were introduced in 1994 under the leadership of Abi Tasneem Dawood Adib Salafia, we started to hear and learn about this issue of not worrying about your color, and color is not an issue. You have to be upon the Sunnah, and it's from the Sunnah of the Prophet not to be a nationalist, and if you're with your people, then it's against the Sunnah, and so forth. So when we talk about this issue, number one, we understand that it is relevant. When you talk about self-esteem, when you talk about knowing your people, when you talk about feeling a part in society before you became a Muslim, because let's get this straight. Some people say Muslim first, and then I'm black first. Some people say Muslim first, I'm Palestinian first. Some people say I'm Muslim first, I'm Saudi first. Some people say I'm Muslim first, and I'm Yemeni. Yani. But some people say, what? Mother, I'm Palestinian first, then I'm Muslim. So if you say, what? I'm Egyptian, and I'm Muslim. Some people say, Yani Mother, I'm Yemeni, then I'm Muslim. Some people say, Mother, I'm African, then I'm Muslim. Some people say, what? Mother, who you are comes first. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentioned these issues in His Quran. Does it mean that Islam comes second and black pride, Palestinian pride, Yemeni pride, Egyptian pride, African pride, or everything that has come with those backgrounds, those cultures, and those religions come first, Islam comes second, like we say, we put that on the back burner? No. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, let's take the ayat in the Quran. Allah says, Sibghatullah. Now, the color of Allah. What does that mean? Go do your research at tafsir. Go look at all of the tafsir. Don't just look at Jarir at-Tabari, the Imam of the Mufassirin. Don't just go look at Ibn Kathir. Look at all of them. Jamakshari, look at Mada Suyuti, look at Mada al-Qurtubi, look at all of the tafsir to get an idea how people talk about this from different perspectives. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said, "Man ahsana min Allah sibghah, wa nahnu lahu abidun." Now, so the color that Allah made you is the best color, and that's why Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He mentioned, "Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله ماذا علي خبير." Now, and then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentioned, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم هكذا. Now, so what? What's the point? When you go and look at the tafsir of why this ayah was even revealed, because the people felt that black was whack, and that the other people and their colors and their tribes were the thing that mattered, that raised you. And we know that when you talk about color, if it wasn't an issue, Allah Azza wa Jalla would have wiped it out. It wouldn't have even been a discussion. But we know, again, when we talk about lineage, anybody who has a problem with color and they're Muslim, they have a color problem. They don't like people with dark skin, brown skin, fair skin, black skin. They don't like what we say people come from a black lineage, black bloodline. Then we know they, in that case, will have to denounce the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is a terrible thing to think about, but that's a reality because it's a known fact, his lineage. Nah, his lineage.
Self-worth of the Prophet ﷺ, knowing where he's from. And he used to mention his lineage. Now, and the scholars, they mentioned it in their books. They didn't hide it. They say it don't matter. How could I? We look at the lineage of his mother, having a long lineage that goes back to the people of Yemen, the 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 Aus or Khadrij people are from Medina. Aslan, their lineage goes back to the people of Yemen, the early Arabs who were dark. And the Prophet again, he's on his last months, last moments in this dunya, and he's talking about this. Why? Because people made it an issue. People were very infuriated and afraid of the dominance that Allah Azza wa Jalla put in color. We didn't do that. There's another side of extremism. People give all the credit to being black and the motherland and this and that. No, this comes from Allah. Allah made the black like this. Just like, the dirt has brown and black and red. Anybody ever been, used to go to school in Knoxville, Tennessee in the 80s? What, like red clay dirt, Tennessee. SubhanAllah. Can you imagine? The richness of soil, how the food grows in soil as opposed to dirt. But the soil is normally what? Black. Hakada. Now, and oil, said the blacker the oil, the blacker the honey, the blacker the date, the riper it is, the sweeter it is, the purer it is, like this. So black has a virtue. Colored people have a virtue. And this is something as it relates to the reasons why they made this issue of Black History Month. Because blacks have been put down historically all over the globe for as long as we could remember that people could talk and write about blacks. It was mostly in the negative. Mostly in the negative. And as one of the brothers is versed in history told me, he said it started off as Negro Week. They would talk about the Negroes. Then they moved it from Negro Week. It became Black History Month because they want to talk about the accomplishments, the goals, the things that black people contributed to this great society, because it was always stolen away from them. What they did and given credit to somebody else. Most cases to someone lighter than them, whether they were mixed or pure Caucasian or whatever. And what they tell Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, no, you can't be a lawyer, you have to be, a carpenter, and carpenter's a good skill, but there's no comparison between a lawyer and a carpenter, a doctor and a janitor, subhanallah. And this is one of the reasons that we cannot separate this from who we are. This is one of the reasons the ayah was revealed, because on the day when they made the entrance into Mecca, the tafsir, they talked about this narration was authentic. They talked bad about Bilal. Had that been somebody got up on their Kaaba that was lighter in skin or fair skinned or mixed or white, they wouldn't have said that. Or I'm glad my father's alive to see that light skinned pretty Arab up on the Kaaba. I'm glad that so and so didn't live to see this, ugly crow up on the Kaaba. No, they wouldn't have said that. But they said that about Bilal. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The same way that most of the time when someone accepts Islam, he enters, they won't make a platform for him to lead the salah. They won't even check to see if he knows the Quran or not. They just assume he doesn't know because he's black. They won't make a platform for him to get up and teach and preach. Moreover, he's not getting on the minbar of Jum'ah. You can forget it. But to call the adhan, and he might sound like some of those groups we knew back in the days. Very nice with his voice. But his mistakes are numerous. And they don't care. They'll let him call the adhan, saying Allahu Akbar. That's wrong. You can't say Allahu Akbar. Bart is the Simpson is a cartoon. How can you say Allahu Akbar? Allah, all that stuff they teach you. You think you're sounding good. You say Akbar, and they allow it. Why? Because of this issue. They'd rather you do that than to really become knowledgeable in the issue of the adhan and the iqam and this ahkam. They'd rather you do that than have you really learn Quran, lead the salah. They'd rather you do that to surely be on the minbar, teaching, helping, bringing the people, uplifting the people. And this is an inferiority complex. Yeah. SubhanAllah. Likewise, when we talk about, last but not least, the issue of understanding Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the Tawheed. We talk about Qadru, what Allah has proportioned. This is part of Qadru, proportion. Who he makes dominant, who he doesn't make dominant. Nobody gets mad when we quote the ayah, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Allah has made the men up over women. And not in a bad way. Women are respected. Women are sometimes more dominant than men, unfortunately. But in general, Allah raised the woman over the man, or the man over the woman. In ability and emotional, intellectual capability and status and so forth. The ability to span and give and to protect. But we know it's flipped. And sometimes the men as if they're women and the women as if they're men. Laws. But we said in general, body gets mad at that concept and people accept it and respect it in most cases. That's the role. The man is this, the woman is that. The man brings home, they used to say in J-Lib, bring home the bacon. Allah Musta'an. They love that bacon. Oink, oink, Allah Musta'an. He's bringing home the food. He's taking care of the bills. He's the breadwinner. He's the king of the palace. Accepted concept in society. Although switched, although manipulated, although, Allah Musta'an, it's dropped. Brothers drop the ball. A lot of cases, society mostly contribute to that in fashion, that ability for that failure. It's a reality that most people accept and understand. When we talk about blackness and dominance and this and that, people want to reject it. People want to put it down. And then we have the argument, it's not a part of Islam, it has nothing to do with, this issue of being upon the truth, just worship Allah. No. Allah Musta'an. If it was so minute, why is the world trying to erase it, change it, hide it, even with the critical race theory education? And I guarantee you, we try to bring a platform to talk about this in the masajid. The Muslims are going to do the same thing from the other people because of this concept. They don't want the people to know, and they don't want their children to feel that racism is shared in Islam between the non-African origin or Afro-American or Afro-Arab or the Afro-Spanish or Afro-Americans, that which we all share, and those people that, obviously speaking, don't have that background. They want to make us feel the racism. Or that they can hide it because maybe they can pass for Italian, they can pass for someone who looks, Swedish, or someone who looks European. Allahu Mustaan. So this is a real life issue, and as we mentioned, this is what Allah has proportioned these genes and domination of skin and abilities like this. Like you used to say, white man can't jump. There was a movie. They can jump, but naturally black people can jump. Dunk, hoop, spin, fight, box, this, that. Same thing they talk about, intimacy. Say black people, are known for this and that, intimately, male and female over. So there's a dominancy here. Many black people came up with this, and to tell me about education. Some of them didn't have education, high school, and because there was nothing back then, and they invented this and that, and white people stole it right from under our noses. Same thing with the Islamic legacy. All of the thing is going to be snatched by the foreigners in the race, and the only Islamic legacy we're going to know in America and throughout the Western Hemisphere is what people made and brought that were non-African in their origin or with their ancestry going back to African roots or black roots. It's a fact. While we at one another throats, hating one another, pulling one another down, arguing, you shouldn't mention that, it's not from the religion, it's part of the knowing who Allah Ta'ala is. Knowing who He created, knowing who you are, knowing your place, it's part of that. You can't be a muwahid illa bih, except you know this. You can't be someone who knows your Lord and you're giving Him uniqueness and monotheistic servitude and respect and worship without this. You've been taught to love yourself, know yourself, love others and know others, but how are you going to love others and know others if you don't love and know yourself? It's a no-brainer. Go back to the Prophet again. He mentioned his lineage, and it's known. He said that wala fakhr. And he was not boasting in a way that he's saying I'm better, but he, hey, to what will be called not a false pride, but dignification. Dignified. That word pride used in that way. Self-esteem. He took that liberty as it related to who he was. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So this is one of the benefits of this month. Let the world know, because people want to erase, want to put down, take away the contributions of both African Americans, Afro-Latinos, say Afro-Arabs, any contribution to this society that people gave from those backgrounds they want to erase. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best knower. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبد الله ورسوله وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. So whatever your color is, whatever your background is, then say it loud and be proud. Say it loud and be Muslim. Say it loud. Let it be known, recognized. Don't believe the hype. Slave used to say it's not from the religion. It's nationalistic. It's bid'ah. No, it's a part of how Allah created you, who you are. Sibaqatullah, wa man ahsanu min Allahi sibaqa, wa nahnu lahu abidun. Now, the colors that Allah made, what is better than those colors? And to Him we are His servants. Hada wa sallallahu wa sallam baraka ala abdillahi wa rasulih wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفره وأتوب إليه وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان الله وبحمده bihamdi wa subhanahu wa al-azim. Wallahu musta'an wa alayhi tuflan.